With a good regularity and a steady speed, we are on the 36th lecture of our series Most Important Current Affairs for the UPSC Prelims 2020. We were dealing with the topics of environment which came in March and April month. Our next topic is Petersburg Climate Dialogue. Many people will be confused here only. St. Petersburg, Pittsburgh, those are different places. This Petersburg is located in Germany. This is located in Germany in mountain area near your Bonn city. Petersburg's climate dialogue is not a new thing. It started 10 years ago and now its 11th meeting was held. Since the beginning only, that is 2010 year, Germany has been hosting this event, Petersburg's Climate Dialogue, and it was the 11th summit of this, and your Union Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change also attended it. 11th Petersburg Climate Dialogue, very important for your prelims. Also, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, this summit was this time held virtually online for the first time. What is the kind of nature of this summit? This is a informal summit. High level political discussion takes place and it focuses on two things. One thing is that international climate negotiation, for example your Paris climate deal, Kyoto protocol, everything international climate negotiations will be discussed informally here, so that if there is some logjam, if there is some deadlock, those deadlocks can be discussed at the political level between the countries, among the countries. And the second thing is advancement of climate action. For example, India has its INDC, right? Intended nationally determined contribution after this Paris climate deal. So India will say that see how much advancement we have done in that direction. USA will say see how much we have done. China will say something. So those advancement of climate action by different countries are discussed here, and also international climate negotiations are discussed here, but informally. This is being hosted by Germany since 2010 in its city Petersburg. That is why it is known as Petersburg's Climate Dialogue. But now here in this time it was hosted by Germany, fine, but the chairmanship it was co-chaired by Germany and United Kingdom also. Almost 30 countries attended, including India. See, not all United Nations member countries will attend here. The impactful countries, which are the major party of environment negotiation and climate action, those will be attending, and India is obviously very big country, and also India is currently a very polluting country also. United Kingdom, why co-chaired? United Kingdom co-chaired it because your next presidency comes to United Kingdom for the 26th Conference of Parties, COP26 of the UNFCCC. You know about the UNFCCC? UNFCCC came in your Rio de Janeiro, Rio Earth Summit. Rio Earth Summit had many things coming out of it. Out of them, one was UNFCCC. UNFCCC deals with the global greenhouse gas emission and limitation, mitigation and adaptation, so that your global temperature does not rise beyond a range compared to the pre-industrial level of global carbon gas emissions and other greenhouse gas emissions, but the main focus is on carbon dioxide. So United Kingdom will be hosting the next climate conference, 26th one, Conference of the Parties COP26 of the UNFCCC. So for that, United Kingdom must have some exposure to this Petersburg Climate Dialogue also. That is why it was co-chaired by Germany with United Kingdom. So you need to know the last COP was held, the COP25, that was held in Spain, city of Madrid in December 2019. An outcome of this Madrid or Spain climate deal, Conference of Party of UNFCCC in December 2019, that is also very important for your prelims, because that came before February. So we will not be discussing it here because we are dealing with the March and post-March current affairs. So you must have read about this, that your Spain was hosting COP25, and outcome and everything you should know. What was the development over Paris climate deal, you should know. This meeting, Petersburg's Climate Dialogue, the 11th edition, was very important. One reason was that your coronavirus problem, pandemic problem, and in that situation countries have to make an effort so that the implementation phase of the Paris Agreement 2015 in the post 2020 period runs efficiently and productively. Your Paris climate deal happened in 2015, open for the signature and everything happened fine. But now that will come into action post 2020. It will be from 2020 and beyond. So implementation phase will be 2020 and post 2020. For preparation of that, this Petersburg climate dialogue becomes important in coronavirus situation. This was about the global nature of your Petersburg climate dialogue, you say, not deal, okay? India's contribution is what in this dialogue? First of all, a general thing, India expressed solidarity. That means we are supporting the world as it combats COVID-19 pandemic, and also at that time India emphasized that we need to adopt more sustainable consumption patterns because earth has resources for everyone's need, for not anyone's greed. So India said that please adopt measures, please emphasize on this thing that we need to use our sustainable consumption patterns in our country and in our consumption pattern, so that the everyone's requirement can be fulfilled in line with the requirement of sustainable lifestyle, so that we also be happy with the climate and resources, and our children coming in the next generation also become happy with the environment and climate and resources. That is what sustainable lifestyle. Now for reduction of global greenhouse gas emission, a country needs technology, but India is not having very good technology. And with not India has many countries under its umbrella who will be supporting India, because many countries are developing countries and they are not having the resources, not having the technology to deal with the changing climate, and they cannot reduce their carbon emission without technology. Because see, for any development, emission will happen because industries need fuel and energy. But if you are not having good technology, that means the time you are developing, you will be going with more global greenhouse gas emission. So these developing countries don't have money also, they need to develop also. But one condition, if fulfilled, it will be fine. If the developed countries provide the climate technology, that means the technologies which are greener, which do not give so much emission. If they are provided with the climate technology, the new technology, the green technologies, these countries can develop also, and they will not contribute a lot to the global greenhouse gas emission also. So India is suggesting that please, these climate technologies, make them an open source. Open source means open for everyone at affordable prices, because we are developing countries, we cannot afford the costly technology for dealing with the climate change. Also, India said that developing countries need finance also, so that the development is not compromised, the economy is not compromised for the greener future. So India stressed on climate finance and urged to plan for $1 trillion in grants to the developing world immediately. India said that please, all the countries unite together, and to the developing countries immediately provide grant of $1 trillion. That means a kind of loan for the development and green development. India highlighted India has its nationally determined contributions, intended nationally determined contribution after the Paris climate deal. India said that spanning a 10-year time frame and in compliance with the temperature goal of the Paris Agreement, we are doing good. So what are the India's INDC? We need to know. These are the promises India made through its INDC after the Paris climate deal. Overall, the heading was, it came in Times of India, thanks to them. 40% power will come from green sources. Green sources means renewable resources. Your solar energy, your wind power, so small hydel plants. India said that it will reduce emission intensity. See the first point, reduce emission intensity of its GDP. Compared to the GDP as a proportion, India will reduce its emission intensity by 33 to 35%, not 33 to 35%, by 33 to 35%. That means if India is emitting today 100% or 100 tons, then it will reduce in that and it will make it around 70. So that is 33 to 35% reduction. That will be done by 2030. Why? 10 years post 2020. So 2030, and comparison level, the baseline level will be 2005 level. So we will reduce our emission intensity of its GDP by 33 to 35% by the year of 2030, and we will compare our emission intensity at 2030 compared to 2005 level. And how will this India achieve? India said that we will generate 40% of electricity through non-fossil fuels, for example solar, wind, hydro, biomass and nuclear. These things will be in that. Your biomass and nuclear is not renewable, okay? But yeah, solar, wind, hydro, these are renewable. India said that we will be generating our electricity 40% of electricity through these means, because these are greener methods. India said that we will be creating additional carbon sink because the plants absorb carbon dioxide, so they work as carbon sink and also they produce oxygen. India said that we will be doing what? We will be doing 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2 sink by increasing forest and tree cover. If we plant forest and trees, we will be reducing the greenhouse gas emission and particularly carbon dioxide because of the trees, and that will be 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2 equivalent to that we will plant our forest and tree cover. These are reduction. There should be some adaptation also. India said that it would raise investment in programs to adapt to climate change in agriculture, for example climate smart agriculture, water resources. For example, sewerage can be made better so that the water can be recycled. Himalayas and coastal regions need to be protected. Health and disaster management should be looked upon. So how much it will cost? $2.5 trillion from 2015 to 2030, part of which India will seek from the West. That is why India is saying that please create $1 trillion fund for this, grant for this. And if you want to know the pollution level by India, in absolute emission, India is world third largest polluter after China and US, but we have a large population. If you compare the per capita emission, India is 1/8 of the US and less than 1/3 of the China. What does that mean? Overall, we are polluting, but because our population is large, our pollution and emission per capita per person is very small, 1/8 of the United States. And if you compare to the China, we are just 33% of the China per capita. But yeah, in overall, because of population, we are the third largest polluter. And here India only asked the West this question, that see, we have a huge population. If you compare the per capita, your one person is equivalent to 8 times of our emission. So you are not using the resources sustainably. We have to feed more people, we have to develop more people. See, India is saying that we are focusing on the opportunity, this opportunity of going towards the green technology and everything. We are focusing on the opportunity to accelerate renewable energy deployment. That is why you can see so many solar power plants in India by the Modi government, and this will create new green jobs. Green jobs are what? People working in those sectors which are less polluting and less emitting of the carbon dioxide. These are known as green jobs. In the renewable energy and energy efficiency sector, so many people will be working with the solar power plants. Many people will be producing the modules of the solar cell and photovoltaic cell and everything. Energy efficiency sector, many people will be employed. This will create new job opportunity. Our next topic is very interesting, naming of the tropical cyclones. You know, every tropical cyclone has name like Laila, maybe Majnu also. So Indian Meteorological Department, IMD, can you tell me in the comment section where is this Indian IMD, Indian Meteorological Department located? Whether it is in Environment, Forest and Climate Change, whether it is in Earth Ministry or Science and Technology Ministry. Can you please tell me? And if you know the ministry, also tell me the other departments of the ministry so that everyone can benefit from the comment section. India Meteorological Department has released a list of 169 new names for the tropical cyclones in the North Indian Ocean region, limited to only North Indian Ocean region. We are not naming the typhoons, okay? We are naming those tropical cyclones which will be coming in the North Indian Ocean region only. So 169 name list has come. This will go by order. 169 names are created, and before coming of the tropical cyclone, we will come to know about the name of the next tropical cyclone. That listing is done in that way. This report was adopted by WMO ESCAP panel on tropical cyclones with consensus in April 2020. IMD gave this report to WMO ESCAP panel. What is that? I will explain you what is. You already know World Meteorological Organization, United Nations body, and ESCAP is United States Economic and Social Council, United States Economic and Social Commission for the Asia Pacific, ESCAP. So WMO and ESCAP will come with the final list. India has submitted the list, and the list has 169 names, and 169 names is not only from India, it is from 13 countries. 13 countries which are located in the North Indian Ocean region. Every country has given 13 names, so total 13 into 13, 169 names. These all countries, 13 countries, are member of WMO ESCAP. So every country is giving 13 names, and those names are going to WMO SCAP panel, and they will release the list finally. So we need to understand what is WMO SCAP panel on tropical cyclone. First of all, it is an intergovernmental regional body because 13 member countries are present, and it is a United Nations body. As the name says it was established jointly by the World Meteorological Organization WMO and United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia Pacific. This is not ECOSOC, okay? This is something else. United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia Pacific. ECOSOC is what? Economic and Social Council. This is not that. This is Commission. Economic and Social Commission for Asia Pacific only. This WMO SCAP panel was established in 1972 by their collaboration. So does this panel deal with only naming of the tropical cyclone? No. This panel is associated with tropical cyclone program of WMO. WMO has a program, tropical cyclone program. For that, WMO in collaboration with SCAP has created this panel, and aim is to assist member countries in monitoring their cyclone, forecasting their tropical cyclone, and also if the cyclone comes, then we have to reduce the disaster related losses of life, livelihood and infrastructure. Objective is to promote measures to improve tropical cyclone warning system, better warning system. For example, in Odisha, after the huge tropical cyclone of 1919, when almost 11,000 people had died because of a cyclone, government has improved a lot in the tropical cyclone warning system. Particularly your cyclone is coming in Bay of Bengal and also to some extent in Arabian Sea. So this WMO SCAP panel tries to promote measures to improve tropical cyclone warning system so that the people and livelihood and everything can be relocated to a new area for some time. Dissemination, that is a spread of technical information on tropical cyclone research and forecasting operations so that each country is empowered to predict the forecasting of the future cyclone. That is how, because of these development only now, before the cyclone only, before Fani came on the land only, before the landfall only, you knew that how much was the extent and which areas will be affected, how much rain will be happening, everything, an estimation was present. So there are 13 countries. You should just have a list. You should just go through the list and you should remember the important countries of the South Asia at least. India, Bangladesh, Maldives, Myanmar, Oman also, see, Oman also, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Thailand also, Iran, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates and Yemen also. So that means countries in the Arabian Ocean which are also part of Indian Ocean only, and the countries of some countries of Southeast Asia also, for example Myanmar, right? Then Thailand. So this is how the 13 members are present in WMO SCAP panel. Now you should have one more information about the Indian Meteorological Department that will make you feel proud. See, IMD is one of the 6 regional specialized meteorological centers, and in the world it is mandated to issue advisory and name tropical cyclones in the North Indian Ocean region. That is why you could see that IMD is going with the list of 169 tropical cyclone names, suggested names. So IMD is one of the 6 regional specialized meteorological centers in the world. So what is a regional specialized meteorological center? RSMC or Regional Specialized Meteorological Center. All these 6 centers in the world are responsible for the distribution of information. See, Regional Specialized Meteorological Center, right? So that will provide some information about the meteorology, the weather and everything. That will include the cyclone warning also. Distribution of information, advisory, that how to deal with that, how much we need to relocate, how many days we need to stay away from the deep sea or open sea. Warning regarding the specific program they have a part of, agreed by the consensus at the World Meteorological Organization as part of World Weather Watch. So as part of World Weather Watch, World Meteorological Organization made a consensus. 6 regional specialized meteorological center was created, and out of that one is your Indian Meteorological Department, and it deals with it is mandated to issue the advisories and name tropical cyclone in the North Indian Ocean region. So IMD is working as one of the 6 regional specialized meteorological centers created by the WMO under its World Weather Watch program. So here IMD will issue warnings to not only India, all the 13 members of the WMO SCAP countries. already told you about these members. Benefit of naming. What is the benefit of naming of the cyclone? This can come in the mains. Naming of tropical cyclone helps the scientific community, disaster management teams, media and general masses to identify each individual cyclone. One name, so everyone will be saying the same name, so that the awareness and everything can be raised all together in a fast manner. Also see, the name should be very catchy so that the awareness can be created. That is why you can see the name like funny, hood of a snake, and then your Lala. This will also lead to removal of confusion in case of a simultaneous occurrence of tropical cyclone over a region. Remember a tropical cyclone easily. Just like you should create some very catchy mnemonics for GS preparation. Rapidly and effectively disseminate warnings to much wider audience, because everyone will be catching those catchy names very easily. Important green bonds. Why green bonds are again in news? Because you're a State Bank of India, the largest public sector bank. This SBI has listed green bonds worth the value of $100 million, and where they have listed it? They have listed it in your country only, India only, but they have listed, still after listing in India, the platform is the global platform. India INX's Global Security Market Platform. So what is India INX first of all? Let's go to their website. This is India INX website, right? So we will know the about section. India International Exchange, that is why we call it INX, India INX. This is a limited, that means it's a company. It is India's first international exchange in you have IFSC, right? International Financial Service Center in Gujarat, which is called Gujarat International Finance City, Tech City, that is GIFT City. So your GIFT City is located in Gujarat. In that GIFT City, India has opened its India International Exchange, that is INX. This is a global exchange. And your INX also, this INX also, India International Exchange also, is subsidiary of your BSE Limited, that is Bombay Stock Exchange. It is such a big thing that it was inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, and it was inaugurated in 2017 January, and its operations commenced from January 16, 2017. A very new and novel thing for India, INX. So that is why the State Bank of India has listed green bonds worth $100 million on India's own INX Global Securities Market Platform in GIFT City, Gujarat. Green bond is just like a normal bond, but here is a trick. In green bond, the investment goes in climate technology, green technology, less emission technology, renewable energy sector, that will first of all reduce emission, and also it will create a goodwill, and also a company can fulfill its environmental obligations. So green bond is a type of fixed income. It is a bond, so it will be a fixed income instrument that is specifically earmarked to raise money for what? For climate and environmental projects. These bonds are typically asset linked and backed by the issuing entity's balance sheet. So they usually carry the same credit rating as your normal bonds, the other bonds of the issuer. Just like that, these green bonds will also have the same credit rating because it is linked to normal assets only. And starting from 21st century, green bonds are also known as climate bonds. These are some of the projects which can be taken by the green bonding: renewable energy, energy efficiency, pollution control and prevention, sustainable management of living natural resources, terrestrial and aquatic biodiversity conservation, clean transportation, sustainable water management, climate change adaptation also, and eco-efficient products, production technology and processes which all are eco-efficient. All these projects can be taken under the green bonds money. In the long term, if you are investing in green technology, obviously your things will be renewable, so that will lead to better returns on asset and equity. So the companies will reduce their greenhouse gas emission, particularly carbon dioxide gas emission, and that will lead to a boost in their environmental rating by the environment agencies. See, green bonds, if you compare the overall bond market, green bonds are making only a small share of the large bond markets, but the growth is very good. Rapidly, over the last few decades, last decade only, they are growing very good, because all the climate negotiations, all the climate agencies, United Nations, everybody is supporting this green bond initiative. Who issues them? normally government, financial and utility companies. Currently, your green bond market is dominated by three countries. One country is China. 83 billion worth of green bonds are issued by the China in the last decade. United States on the second number, 58 billion, and the third is France. These are the largest green bond issuer countries. Where is India? India has just, if you see in 2018, 5.2 billion worth of green bonds by India. It is one of the fastest growing green bond market in Asia. So is SBI the first company in India to issue green bonds? No. India's first green bond was issued by Yes Bank, that is a private bank, in 2015, and in UPSC 2015 prelims the question did not come, but many of the mocks had this question that which is the first company to issue green bonds in India. It was Yes Bank. SBI listed its green bond in INX in India, but where did Yes Bank list it green bond? Yes Bank listed its green bond in 2015 in London Stock Exchange. In 2016, India did a very good thing. China had provided national level guidelines for green bonds. India became the second country to provide national level guidelines for green bonds, and those guidelines were issued by SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India. If you see the emerging economies, USA is not emerging economy, France is not emerging economy. So if you see your emerging economy, then the recent economic survey, 1920 economic survey, says that India is the second largest green bond market among emerging economies after China. India has issued $10.2 billion green bonds in the first half of 2019. So the growth is very good, second only to China. India's first listed green bond on India INX was not SBI, it was Indian Railway Finance Corporation or IRFC. SBI is not the first one. The first green bond listed on India INX was Indian Railway Finance Corporation. Also, your Federation of Indian Companies, this FICCI and Climate Bond Initiative, this together came together and they established Indian Green Bond Council in 2016. So here is the industry body, here is Climate Bond Initiative. So representation in this Indian Green Bonds Council created in 2016 was coming from banks, finance, insurance, public and private sector. And council deals with what? Council is to propose solution towards the development of green bond market in India. Indian bond market has many problems, depending on the bond market and everything is pending. But when we have come with a new initiative, green bond market, that also needs development. So for that, this council was created by FICCI and Climate Bond Initiative. That council is known as Indian Green Bonds Council, created in 2016. You should remember this. What is Climate Bond Initiative? It is an international organization working to mobilize bond market for climate change solution. That is why FICCI collaborated with this and opened our Indian Green Bonds Council in 2016. Why green bond market is not developing in India as per expected? Poor knowledge of green bond market only. This is the first condition. MSME and everything, how will they know? And nascent technical capacity is also very low for the renewable energy. There is a lack of information, policy clarity is not there. Government came with the policy guideline, but still the clarity is not there. Lack of historical performance data. This is a very new thing. In the last decade only it developed, so we cannot compare with the historical data, and we have a limited understanding of the risk at various stages of investment cycle. So that means the business cycle and the business and the management does not have the proper understanding of green bond market. So that is why the issuers and investors both are hesitant about the green bond. They go for the normal bond only. There is no consistent green standard and monitoring mechanism to help investors identify eligible projects. So if they do not identify the eligible projects, then how will they invest? So these are the problem of green bond market in India. And with this, we will end this lecture. When we meet tomorrow for the next lecture, we will be winding up the April month environment related current affairs 2020. Thank you for watching. Take care.